Welcome to the Great Basin Fire Potential Briefing for Sunday, June 9th. This is Gina Palma. Today we will have some breezy winds and already have some gusty north to northeast winds that have been occurring this morning over the southern portion of the Great Basin, and this will continue through this afternoon. Some wind gusts have exceeded 40 miles per hour, but most wind gusts will be around 25 or 30 miles per hour this morning with low relative humidity. We'll also see much warmer temperatures as we move into the early part of next week, so we could see some rapid drying of some of the lower elevation grasses, especially across southern areas of the Great Basin and Nevada, where temperatures will increase to 10 to 15 degrees above normal, with highs reaching the mid-90s in the north and over 105 over southern Nevada. There are also excessive heat watches out for parts of southern Nevada next week. Precipitation has been well above normal across most of the Great Basin over the last 30 to 60 days. The only exceptions are over parts of western Nevada, which have been on the drier side, but still about 70% of normal for precipitation, and similarly up towards central Idaho into parts of western Wyoming. Over the last 24 hours, we've only seen some isolated thunderstorms over Idaho into Wyoming. These thunderstorms generally produce light amounts of precipitation, less than 1/10 of an inch, but there were some heavier areas of showers and thunderstorms over eastern Idaho into Wyoming that produced about 1/4 up towards 1/2 inch of precipitation. We did have some cooler temperatures, so we did have some new snowfall in the higher terrain of central Idaho into Wyoming. Still well above normal snowpack exists in all of our higher elevations of the Great Basin. We have only seen light initial attack across the Great Basin with only a few new small fires reported and also quite a bit of prescribed fire activity going on across the region. Fuel conditions have still been on the wet side. However, ERCs have been increasing but are still below the 50th percentile. Here are some of our charts showing that increasing trend of the ERCs, which is representative across the entire area. Still below normal for the time of year and still quite low, but they are on the rise with periods of warmer and drier conditions that we have been observing. Live fuel moistures are still above normal, but have started the downward trend. The satellite loop from this morning shows the trough of low pressure that moved through the northern areas of the Great Basin yesterday, bringing us those showers and thunderstorms, is now well off to the east. We still do have some northerly flow over southern areas of the Great Basin in the wake of this trough of low pressure, but otherwise warmer and drier conditions with decreasing winds are expected over the next couple of days. Now looking at the weather pattern for later this afternoon, you can see that trough well off to the east with warmer and drier conditions across the Great Basin and generally good dispersion in all areas with the exception of parts of the north where winds will be a little bit weaker. You can see the wind picture here on the left, the transport winds showing those gusty northeast winds over the southern areas of the Great Basin and generally easterly winds over parts of Nevada, but much lighter flow up north with mixing heights generally low to moderate. As we move into Monday, we will see a stronger ridge of high pressure build across the Great Basin, bringing hotter temperatures. Temperatures will start increasing to 10 to 15 degrees above normal across all of Nevada and into parts of far southwest Utah and the Arizona Strip, and only about 5 degrees above normal over parts of Idaho into Utah. Also, transport winds will be decreasing, therefore the ventilation index will also be dropping as well. Looking at some of our wind conditions on Monday, you can see generally much lighter flow across much of the basin on Monday. Winds may increase a little bit as the system brushes by to the north up across Idaho. Mixing heights generally moderate to high. So moving to Tuesday, similar conditions are expected with that ridge in place and temperatures continuing to increase with dry conditions and low relative humidity, along with poor dispersion in most areas, with the exception of the eastern side of the Great Basin. There are excessive heat watches out in effect for parts of southern Nevada with these hotter temperatures. Temperatures will reach the mid-90s over northern Nevada and between 105 and 107 over southern Nevada. On Tuesday, lighter winds are expected except for the eastern half of the Great Basin, where gusty northwest winds will occur across the eastern half of Utah, so again much better dispersion in those areas, and mixing heights again remain moderate to high. The forecast clearing index for Utah is shown here. Generally, we're looking at much higher clearing indices for southern areas of Utah today with those gusty winds and lower conditions in the north. However, we will see improvement by Tuesday over much of the state, again as those winds start to increase a little bit. No precipitation really is expected over the next few days during this drier, warmer period. As we go into the mid to late portion of next week, we will see a return of moisture. A weak trough approaching the Great Basin will bring showers and thunderstorms to the northern half of the region. More widely scattered, and precipitation amounts will likely be on the lighter side, but again, like we've seen with the recent thunderstorm activity, we will see some thunderstorms produce precipitation amounts above 1/4 of an inch. Generally, weak flow across the Great Basin is expected with poor ventilation in most areas. On Thursday, showers and thunderstorms increase and spread further eastward, and this trend continues on Friday as well. Most areas will at least see some shower and thunderstorm activity through the late portion of next week, with the exception of parts of far southern areas of the basin, which will remain on the drier side. By Saturday, however, we may see a little bit of that moisture dip into the Arizona Strip and southern Utah and possibly even southern Nevada. So we will see the warmer and drier conditions early in the week, but again, a return of moisture from mid to late week. Showers and thunderstorms, again, mainly confined to the northern half of the Great Basin, which is where we'll see better chances of some precipitation, which will be highly variable depending on lightning activity. Still generally low fire potential across the Great Basin, but we will see southern areas starting to dry out, especially in the low elevation fine fuels. Those will dry out fairly rapidly, but we will see also drying in some of the sage. But again, with that moisture returning later in the week, we will see all areas return to low fire potential once again. The 8 to 14 day outlook shows generally warm temperatures and still that wet pattern in effect through the 3rd week of June. That concludes our webcast for today. Check back tomorrow for the latest updates. As a reminder, we are doing these webcasts now 7 days a week.